It's a rainy day here in Port Austin. Why don't you come on into the studio? Got the lights on and I'm all ready to go. So hi everybody, welcome back. Today's Tiny Tuesday Tutorials. I'm going to get right into it, but I wanted to show you that other t-shirt that I got that I was talking to you about in my other video. This is the one that I got, and it basically says, paint, water, coffee, the struggle is real. I thought that was really cute. It's got the brush and the coffee. How many of us have actually done that? I mean, we've all been there, right? And it's been raining and the sun just came out. It's like it just shut off and now it's sunny. I can't believe it. Pretty wild. It's gorgeous out there now. Take a look. It's amazing. It's just beautiful. You can still hear the rain falling on the trees. I just can't get over this view. Okay, let's get going. Okay, I'm just going to tape this little 4x4 square down to my board here. And I kind of prefer using a board because then I can move it around as needed. Although I don't think I will need to for this one. And notice I have my splint off. My finger is still bent a little bit in comparison to this one. But I'm exercising it. I can't bend it very far yet, but I'm getting there. I am exercising it and moving it around and trying to use it. It's very, very stiff, so I got to see if it's going to work or not. If not, then I go to the doctor again. I think it'll loosen up over time. I'm trying to use it a little bit. Straightening it, of course, is easy. I mean, straightening it, pressing down on it like this is not hard. That part is not hard. It's the bending that I have trouble with. But anyway, let's get moving on this. I'm just going to do kind of a tree in a night sky with the moon and all of that. And it'd be good if you have a coin or something to set down. I don't seem to have a coin. I never have coins, especially out here in my studio. Well, I couldn't find a coin here, and I don't feel like going in the house, so I'm just going to use this. But what we're going to do is we're going to gather some colors. You can use indigo, indanthrone, Payne's gray. I think I'm going to use some indigo today. Let me pull that out. I may mix a little bit of indanthrone in with it. Now, another thing you can do is if you don't have gouache, use some masking fluid. And I think I'm going to use both today. I'll show you the difference. I'm just going to grab my masking fluid here, and I need a toothbrush to spray with, or actually this little brush that I always use, the end of an eraser. It's one of those Staedtler these weird erasers. I don't like them, but some people do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, oops, wrong thing. I'm just going to take my masking fluid and dip in there. And then I'm just going to spray it all over. You don't even need this on yet. And it's making a fine mistiness to this. A toothbrush would work well. I don't know if you can see it going on. This is blue, but it's very fine. Now oops, that's not good. I'm gonna have to take that off, but you don't do it while it's wet. So I'm just gonna leave the rest alone. This is why I prefer gouache, part of the reason. And the other reason is I hate waiting for it to dry. Okay, I believe this is pretty dry. The way it darkened, I can tell. So I'm gonna go ahead and just peel this one area off that is too much. There we go. And that'll be just fine. Now, we'll go in. I want you to put your coin down or your cap or whatever it is you're using. This is going to be a moon. You can put it anywhere on your paper. I want to put it at the bottom because I want it to appear as if we're looking way up in the sky. So I'm going to grab a brush. I'll just grab my number 10 Kolinsky Sable brush. This one's by Rosemary and Company. Get it nice and wet, and I'm going to go into my indigo. And I'm just going to start painting the whole thing. But I want a gradient as I go down, because as you get to the moon, it usually will get lighter. So I'm not adding any more color to this. And I'm just going to wet my brush a little bit to lighten it even more. Dab it off a little bit because I've got some water right here that I want to get rid of. So I'm just dabbing my brush off and I'm soaking up the excess and leaving it a little bit lighter around the moon. Even if it's in a circle, that's fine. That'll actually add some light to the area. So that's all you need to do. Now we're just going to go ahead and let this dry. Okay, this is dry now. And if yours is not dark enough the way you like it at the top, you can darken it even more. But we're going to be putting some tree branches on as well. So if you make it too dark, you won't be able to see the tree branches well. Although you could maybe do it in a lighter color. Now you can go ahead and take off your coin or cap or whatever and take off all of our masking fluid. The reason I want to do this is because once you put your branches on, you don't want the stars in front of the branches. So I'm going to take my little watercolor masking fluid remover stick thingy, whatever it's called, and use that to remove the masking fluid. You can tell it's seen some better days, but it works very well. And you just remove this all. Actually, this worked really well for stars. I kind of like it. I just got that one bare spot, but that's okay. I can always, if I feel like I need to put something there later, I can use white gouache. Then I always just feel around the area to make sure I've gotten it all off. Okay, now I've taken my cap and I've moved it over to the point where I want my crescent moon to be. And I'm just gonna take a pencil and go around that area so I have a bit of crescent moon. And on the other portion, I'm going to take a bit of my, you can either use your indigo, but I think I'm going to use a bit of Payne's Gray. I'm using Payne's Blue Gray, actually. And I'm just gonna put a little on my palette and dilute it way down. You can see it's real strong right now. I need to dilute it way down. So I'm just gonna take some water here and dilute it down and use a diluted puddle. And I'm just gonna kind of go over that other portion. This brush might be a little big. Let me go to something smaller. cannot find my 0. That's all right. Oh, here's my 0. I had a number 4 also. That would work just fine. I want to pick up some of the excess fluid on this. Make sure I'm getting right up to the edge of my pencil line. And then I'm going to just take some of my darker stuff, and I want to, you know how you've got the valleys and mountains in a moon? I'm just putting this here and there to give that illusion. I'm doing it while it's wet. And then I'm going to go ahead and let it dry. Now it's dry, and I'm going to take an eraser and see if I can get rid of my pencil line here. There we go. So that's not visible. And I'm going to take a little more of my dark color here, and I just want to add some more craters, or maybe add lines to the craters here. Like that. Might be a little darker than I had hoped, but that's all right. And I'm just blurring this out a little bit with some water so that it's not too stark a contrast, because when you look at the moon, it's kind of, you'll see the darkness is a little bit jagged on the edges, which is probably where mountains and valleys are in the moon. So I'm going around that edge, and it's softened because the area beyond it out here is just wet with water. So there we go. And that's all there is to that. Now that we've got our stars down, and if you don't yet, I would suggest you take your white gouache and your brush and just go ahead and put some of those stars down now, because once you put your branches on, it's going to be very difficult to keep the stars off of it. And now I'm going to gather, you can use black if you have it, you can use neutral tint, Payne's gray, whatever you want to use. I'm going to just go ahead and use my lunar black, spray a little water in it. And I'm going to go ahead and put in some tree branches. I got the main branches, and now I'm going to take, I could use this brush some more, but what I'm going to do is go even smaller with a rigger. Let's see, this one is a number 1. Just depends on your brand. This one's nice and thin. You want to get the thinnest one you have. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. Dip it into my paint here. And I'm going to wipe it off so that I don't have drips coming off of it. We're going to see, I should use a scrap paper here. I've still got this scrap paper from before. I want to see how small these lines get. Oh, they get nice and small, so that's good. I'm just going to put all those wee branches in. Got a little too thick. Some people prefer to go backwards. I usually go from off of the branch because I can lay it down and then I can lift it up and get thinner. Some people like to do it the opposite way. So whatever works for you. If you don't have a rigger or your dexterity isn't real strong yet with making fine lines, you can also use a micron pen. If it isn't too, if the ink isn't too light, you know what I mean? Let me try that and see what happens here. I like using the paint that matches as long as I can. But let's see here. I do have a micron. This one's a 0.4. It's running out of ink, I believe. So I'm just going to go ahead. Yeah, you could do that. That works good too. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. This was a very quick and simple one today. Oops, I bled a little bit underneath. Sometimes this tape does it. I have to really push down on the edges, and I have not been doing that. So I got a little bleeding. Don't forget to sign your work, especially if you're going to be giving it to somebody. And I'm continuing to keep all of my little paintings in a book. I buy these books from Blick. This is an 8.5 by 11. You can get different sizes. I just grabbed this one, and this has a bunch of my different paintings in it. And then today I will put the next one in. And once I get them all done, then I can. Once I get them all done, I can build a collage with them. There. And I like to date the back too. Today is September 1st, which is my brother's birthday. He just turned 70. There we go. That's it, everybody. So remember, be courageous, paint with wild abandon, and most of all, be kind to each other. Take care. God bless you. Bye-bye.